Good morning, and thank you for having me. There's nothing I like more than talking about our school district and the great teaching and learning that's happening in our 16 schools, from Avila to Los Osos to Morro Bay to San Luis Obispo. There's nothing I like less than talking about budget reductions, program reductions, as a result of an $8 million hole in our budget. This is a big hole. And if you believe, as I do, that our public schools are critical to the community's overall health and well-being, then it's good we're having this talk. In fact, I'm glad to be here with you today. If you remember nothing else from my remarks this morning, please know that everything we do to address this budget gap will be done to make sure that we minimize the impact on students as much as humanly possible. In a nutshell, here's what the closure of Diablo Canyon means to us. When Diablo closes, the school district will be out $8 million a year in direct revenue from the Diablo property tax loss. That is about 10% of our current operating budget. To put that in human terms, $8 million represents 100 teachers. I'll let that sit. Now, please don't jump to the conclusion that we have a plan to lay off 100 teachers. We don't. We want to be strategic about how we close this gap, and across-the-board layoffs are simply not strategic. But figuring out the best way to bridge this gap will require genuine collaboration with the community, with employers like you, with parents, our unions, our teachers, our staff, and our students. If the legislature ultimately overturns the PUC and authorizes our district and the coalition of cities and the county to receive the $85 million in impact mitigation money, that would give us more breathing room to plan more strategically. But we can't bank on that happening. Besides, it won't change the fact that when Diablo Canyon closes, we will be out $8 million. On top of that, in the spirit of full disclosure, we also know that our district, like every other school district in the state of California, along with all the cities, face increased pension costs. This is an additional challenge for us. So what have we done about this $8 million gap so far? When PG&E announced its plans to close almost 2 years ago, we got to work right away. In an effort to lead by example, we cut over $2 million from the district office staff by taking advantage of attrition, by downsizing district administration, as well as support staff. Last spring, I convened a Blue Ribbon Committee to conduct an independent review of the district's long-term financial issues. The committee was made up of about a dozen citizens representing a cross-section of the community: parents, business and civic leaders, and educators. You may have read about their report, which they presented in December. The committee was exceptionally thoughtful, and their report outlined wide-ranging suggestions to close this gap, from working with our unions to negotiating health care cap benefits, to increasing class sizes, even to closing schools. On the revenue side, the committee recommended that we explore a parcel tax. For example, a modest $80 parcel tax would generate $3 million annually. It would also require 2/3 voter approval, which we know requires a broad base of support. But we're not making any decisions about any of these recommendations. Instead, we want to follow what I thought was the Blue Ribbon Committee's best and most urgent recommendation, that the district not jump to any conclusions about what the right solutions are. Rather, start by listening. Listen carefully to what the community has to say. So my request to all of you is that you help us follow that wise advice by engaging with us. You can start by reading the Blue Ribbon Committee's fairly short report that is on the district's website. You can find it just by Googling SLO Blue Ribbon Committee, and it pops right up. You can also plan to attend one of a series of upcoming community forums that we'll be announcing soon. Ideally, we will heed the Blue Ribbon Committee's advice to engage in, quote, a process that helps the board reach fair and workable decisions rather than unilateral ones. Further, that we all approach these decisions with open minds. Look, I know a lot of these ideas are scary. Losing $8 million of ongoing revenue is scary. possibly increasing class sizes or closing schools. These are not anything we want to do. But as the Blue Ribbon Committee noted, this budget gap is real and there's no easy solution. These are the hard truths. As I close, I want to be careful to leave you with neither undue pessimism nor unwarranted optimism. The road ahead will be bumpy. But I am confident that if we work together in a spirit of goodwill, with our eye on what's best for our students and community, that we'll handle this challenge and handle it well. Thank you for being here this morning.
Thank you, Dr. Prater.